The purpose of Wealth Talk is to educate, inform, and hopefully entertain you on the subject of building your wealth. WealthBuilders recommends you should always take independent financial, tax, or legal advice before making any decisions around your finances.
Welcome to episode 185 of Wealth Talk. My name is Christian Rodwell, the Membership Director for WealthBuilders, and today I'm joined by our SSAS Director, Mr. Paul Brooks. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. We decided to give Kevin a week off this week, didn't we?
Yeah, that's it. He's been working hard, so we thought, I'll step in, and not that I'll be able to replace him, of course, but, hopefully do a good enough job of...
You will do a mighty fine job.
Today.
A mighty fine job as always, Paul, and obviously stranger to the Wealth Talk podcast, so it's good to have you back today. And we were just all talking, actually, weren't we, and sort of reassessing the last 6 months or so and the economic climate. Of course, it's been, slightly turbulent times, certainly leading up to Christmas, but people are looking at more creative ways now of generating income streams. And of course, we know one very, very powerful way of helping people to leverage something that almost everyone has in their life already, and that's their pension.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Clues in the name, I guess, the SSAS Director. So, that vehicle is the SSAS pension. So I guess probably makes sense to me to give a sort of nice, easy overview of what a SSAS is to start with, Chris, right?
Yeah, I think today, if we can do that for anyone listening who perhaps isn't sure what a SSAS pension is or wants to find out a bit more, and then we can lead into some of the ways that can help people generate more income streams or I guess, expand on what they've already got coming in.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. Okay. So the way I like to think about a SSAS is really just simple, right? It's almost exactly like another business. If you're a business owner and you're used to running a business, and it doesn't matter what kind of business, it could be anything, right? It could be a retail unit, it could be, a barber's, it could be a property developer, it doesn't matter. But if you're a business owner, you understand how a business works. And most people don't understand how pensions work, right? They're confusing, they're mystifying, they're jargon filled. Nobody really gets pensions. They kind of feel a bit like a dark art. And it's not a surprise to hear that. We hear that all day, every day, don't we, pretty much. A SSAS is more entrepreneurial, and it's so easy when you think about it this way, because unlike a normal pension, where you're not in charge, you're not in control, you don't really have the option and the choice to do whatever you want. You're restricted nearly always to the stock market. A SSAS puts you firmly in the driving seat. So it's almost exactly like being the owner and the director of another company, but it's just a really tax efficient business. Think of it that way. It's a business that operates in almost exactly the same way that your normal business does, but it's wrapped up in a set of friendly tax rules. And because it's a pension, it gets these fantastic tax benefits, which we'll obviously touch on. But try and sort of shift that mindset and imagine for a moment that your pension wasn't what it is today, but it was almost like a new business that you had. And you could use that new business in a really great number of creative ways.
Yeah, and we've got lots and lots of information which explains exactly what a SSAS is, who a SSAS is for, and anyone listening now who wants to do that, probably best either drop an email to hello@WealthBuilders, and we can send you some videos which we've recorded. And today we can focus more on, how can you actually really benefit from a SSAS pension and generate more income streams. So we've put together a little list of those ways, haven't we, Paul?
Yeah, we have. Is it worth me just briefly touching, Chris, on eligibility at a very, very basic level for SSAS?
Yeah, by all means, yeah.
Okay. And the reason I say that is because a SSAS isn't something that you can pull off the shelf, right? Because it's like a business, it needs creating and founding and setting up like a business does. In other words, you can't just go online and pull a SSAS off the shelf and put your name and your details in, and there you go, you've got your SSAS. It needs to be created. And there are a couple of basic points of eligibility, right? So anyone listening here can understand, hopefully quite quickly and easily, whether or not a SSAS could potentially work for them. Number one, you have to have a limited company. It's really important, okay? The reason for that is a SSAS is a company pension. It's basically a sort of quite bespoke, niche type of company pension. So it's not like big schemes that people would be used to if they've been in employment or they are in employment, where there might be hundreds or even thousands of members. These are small self-administered schemes. That's what SSAS stands for. So you have to have a small business to found it, to create it. And it has to be a limited company. Now, that limited company can do anything. I think I mentioned that a couple of minutes ago. It doesn't matter what your business does. There are no restrictions to having a SSAS based on what your business does, as long as it's a limited company and it's active and it's doing things. And number two, there's got to be some fuel of some kind. And most people's fuel for their SSAS are existing pensions that they've created either from personal money or most commonly from old employers. And sometimes even current existing employers, right? That are paying into their pension and they're paying it. So you've got to have some fuel. And another type of fuel is profit from a business. If your business is making profit and you don't need all that money in your life to fund your day-to-day lifestyle, you can pay money into your SSAS and it's really tax efficient. And I guess we'll come on to that in a moment in a bit more detail.
Yeah. Great. Now, we know that obviously most people's pensions is money that goes out of your life every month, and you have to wait until 55 at the earliest before you can start tapping into that. But of course, SSAS opens up that box, doesn't it, before the age of 55? Yeah,
it does. It really does. And that's not because SSAS has a different set of rules that allow you to take pension benefits earlier than 55. It has the same rules when it comes to drawing money as I'm going to use the word pensioner, retiree. It doesn't matter. It's not, the way people retire now is very different. But in the UK, you can tap into your pensions technically from the age of 55, although that will increase to 57 in a few years. A SSAS doesn't have early access in that respect. But what it does is it uses the kind of entrepreneurial strategies that are available to it to allow you as the business owner to find new and creative ways to generate either new income streams into your life or to make some of the existing income streams you might already have more efficient and therefore, in effect, save you money and therefore give you more income.
Right. So there's something called a loan back pool. So let's start there. So what does that involve?
Well, a loan back is probably the most powerful tool that a SSAS has got. And it's for people that know a little bit about SSAS, and I'm sure anyone who doesn't after today will realize this is powerful. It is the most influential strategy for creating new income. A loan back is quite simply the ability for the SSAS to lend up to 50% of its total value to the limited company. And that can be for literally any genuine business reason. So if you are a property developer and you're looking to find ways of getting access to lower cost finance, because let's face it, finance is becoming more and more expensive. Interest rates are, rapidly increasing in a very short space of time. It's becoming more costly and more difficult to get finance for all types of things, but specifically for property. So if you're looking at ways of maintaining or increasing your profits by reducing your borrowing costs, a SSAS loan back is a fantastic tool because it effectively allows you to borrow up to half of your own pension to do a property development, for example, if that's the legitimate business activity that you have in your limited company. And if the end result of that development, for example, is that you can then refinance and retain that property, and that's a brand new source of income, then you've effectively used your SSAS to help create a new source of income for your business straight away. If you aren't in property, but you're in marketing or in manufacturing or in design, it doesn't matter what you do, you can use a loan back for any reason. So, you might be looking to buy a new piece of software or some machinery. You might be looking at, a new marketing campaign. You might be looking at, something that's going to create more revenue, more income into your business. And therefore, in the end, hopefully, as an owner or a director of that business, more income in your life. You can use the loan back for any purpose to help accelerate your business. It's as powerful as that, and as simple as that, really. There is one important consideration, and that's that because you're borrowing money from your own pension, the rules stipulate that you have to be able to give some security for that money. And we won't get into the details of that on this, but of course we can go into more detail if anyone wants to find out more. But, just like a bank will lend or like a bridging company will lend, they would want security. A SSAS will also need security for that money too. But what you're then able to do is not only create new income in the business by using that money, but actually, because the business is obliged to pay some interest, you effectively create a new stream of income to the SSAS, from the business, borrowing the money, paying the interest for the privilege of borrowing that money. And of course, that reduces your profit and therefore reduces your tax bill.
Start to see the compounding effect here.
Yeah. It's great, and we're not talking about anything particularly complicated here, are we? It's reasonably simple in concept, but the sort of double whammy of new income into the business and saving tax at the same time because you're borrowing your own money, and instead of paying money to a finance provider of some kind or another, where that money goes out of your life, actually you're keeping it in your life. You're just moving it into the SSAS, which doesn't pay any tax on its earnings or its growth or its income or its profit. And so all that money compounds up in a tax-free environment forever. And
of course, we teach all of the strategies around what we're talking about today, don't we, Paul? We've been helping people for many, many years create SSASs and the wonderful benefits here. And we've just put together a whole new resource, actually, haven't we, in our members area? So we've just released that.
It's great, absolutely great. And super proud of it, actually. It's good to, it's always nice to do new things, and we worked hard on getting that set up, and you particularly, Chris, so you did a fantastic job with that.
Yeah. So all of our new members will be getting access to that now. But let's move on to the second strategy here. And of course, with the mortgage rate increase, a lot of residential property investors have been seeing their margins cut over the last few months. And of course, many, many more people who'll be changing mortgages in the year or two ahead, are going to really feel the pinch. So more and more people are looking at commercial property now, Paul, as a strategy. And again, the SSAS can really help here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, you're spot on with that. Look, I think one of the things that a SSAS does really well is being a commercial property owner, a landlord. And there are a couple of ways that you can make that work. So you could be a business that is currently renting your premises, right? Again, it doesn't matter what you do, but you're renting your premises. You're effectively paying your money to someone else and building their wealth. Well, you could use your SSAS to buy your own commercial premises. And then instead of paying money to somebody else to rent the premises, you've actually created a new income stream for your SSAS. Still tax deductible for your business. So your business is still paying rent, but instead of, building somebody else's wealth, it's actually directly influencing you building your own wealth. Which, again, all that rental income goes into the SSAS free of tax, and obviously builds free of tax, and you can use that in a number of different ways. You can let that money accumulate. You could do a host of different things with that money.
Yeah,
including, if you wanted to, tapping into it if you were of an age where you could start drawing some benefits from your pension. If you own your own premises already, then you can actually have your SSAS buy your premises from you, which means you keep hold of the premises, right? You're not selling to somebody else. You're not losing that asset. It's still in your life, but you've effectively used the SSAS to switch places. So the business is now with cash from the proceeds of the sale. The SSAS owns a commercial property. The SSAS then charges a rental income to the business, which actually creates a new stream of tax deductible cost going out from the business, but it's not going to someone else. Remember, it's going to your SSAS. So you're cleverly switching where the income and the costs are in your life and making your income more efficient. Because if you've got a profit that owns premises and it's doing well and it's profitable, you can create that additional stream of income, which is obviously then going to come directly against a cost for your business on your accounts, and then, create that tax deductibility. So saving you tax, basically corporation tax.
Yeah.
And of course, your business has got the money because it's now sold the property. It's got the money, and you can use that money to accelerate your business in whatever way is best for you.
Yeah.
Or if you're owed money by your business, for example, as a director's loan, that could be a way of getting that money into your life tax-free, because director's loan is a repayment of a debt. It's not an income. And then you could use that money in a more creative way to buy assets that generate income, for example.
Absolutely. And I suppose if thinking creatively, you could acquire commercial property, or you had commercial, where you could, add value, reconfigure, and then perhaps rent out that space to somebody else.
That's another great example. Absolutely. So if you could find property that has the ability to be reshaped, carved into smaller chunks. So let's give an example. Let's imagine you need some office space for your business. You could buy an office that might have the ability to be sliced and diced into smaller chunks. And there's a really neat way that a SSAS can help you generate completely new streams of income here in a tax efficient way. And that's by buying the premises, leasing it to you as the master tenant. So your business is the master tenant, but giving it the legal right to sublet space. And then you as the business owner can, in a number of different ways, partition off that office, let's say, and you could make it 3 individual pieces of office space instead of one bigger space. Your business as the master tenant has to pay a rental income, a lease income back to the SSAS, but your business then can own any income that it creates through subletting the extra parcels of space. So let's imagine, I'm just going to pick some figures here, right? Don't worry about them being accurate. It's just an example. But let's imagine you find a space and you have an open market lease agreement for a £10,000 a year rental income. So your business agrees to lease the space from the SSAS for £10,000 a year. And you can creatively add or partition off 2 additional spaces. And those 2 additional spaces can generate £8,000 a year each, sublet. You've now got £16,000 worth of rental income from other businesses coming into your business, but your business has only got a £10,000 obligation to the SSAS. So you've made, even in that very simple example, a £6,000 a year profit, additional income. And as the business owner, and therefore more than likely the shareholder and the director of that business, you can choose how and where and what you want to do with that money. You can reinvest it in the business, you can use it to do more things, or you can draw it out in one of several ways and put that income in your life.
I like it.
It's like a commercial HMO, they're sometimes called, right? You creatively using commercial buildings in a way that, let's face it, right now, and post-pandemic, lots of businesses don't need as much space. So, there are fewer businesses that need big individual spaces, whether it's offices and whether it's other types of things. And lots of commercial properties being repurposed, aren't they? But this is one creative way of still being able to use a SSAS asset to help you create income in your life today, even if you're not of an age where you can tap into your own pension to draw benefits.
You mentioned at the beginning, Paul, about existing business owners who, have got profits, perhaps excess profits. And obviously there's always tax to pay somewhere. But what are some of the ways that, again, a SSAS might be able to help out in this scenario? Well,
one of the great benefits of pensions is that you get tax relief for paying money in. In most cases, it's the number one reason why people start a pension, because they get tax relief on the money when it goes in. And there are broadly 2 ways to pay money into a pension. But for most business owners, in most circumstances, having their business pay a company pension contribution on their behalf into a SSAS allows them to shift that chunk of profit, whatever it might be. The allowance each year for most people on a normal day-to-day basis is £40,000 each tax year. And there are times where you can pay more than that, but let's just assume for now you've got a business, you're making a healthy profit, and you've got £40,000 worth of profit in your business before the end of your business year that you don't need or want to draw and take as an income of some kind as the business owner. You can pay up to that £40,000 into your SSAS. And that £40,000 is then a tax deductible expense for your business. So you've immediately created a tax saving by paying that money in. You know, and in round terms, I mean, obviously the corporation tax rate is changing, but, you know, in round terms, it's roughly an £8,000 corporation tax saving on that money, which is huge, right? Mm-hmm. You're not losing that money. And this is, again, the huge difference between a SSAS and a sort of more traditional pension that most people will be familiar with. You're not losing that money in a black hole, and you kind of position it nicely at the beginning here where it kind of, you know, you feel like it's out of your life and it's no longer your asset anymore. Because the SSAS is entrepreneurial and it allows you to do these different things, all you're doing is just cleverly shifting where that money is held. And when the money's in the SSAS, of course, remember we talked about point number one, the option number one here was the loan back. Got this immediate ability to be able to borrow some or maybe even potentially all of that money straight back into your business. So you don't always even necessarily lose the cash flow of that money, you know, because the business can potentially borrow some or all of it back straight away.
This is that really powerful circular personal economy where it just keeps recycling round and round and round.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you pay the money in, you get the tax relief, which means actually your business doesn't have to account for and put away that tax money. And therefore you've automatically got £8,000 worth of cash in your life you can do other things with. The business, the SSAS has got the money. It can do any number of different things with it, including lending it back to the business to give the business more cash flow, which also then creates a new tax deductible expense because the interest rate on that loan is then something that, you know, sucks profit and therefore reduces tax from the business. It's just hugely powerful. And in some cases, you know, if you've got a business which is owned by a couple or a family and you've got multiple members in the SSAS, and the SSAS can have multiple members. It's, again, one of its uniquenesses. You know, you can actually have up to 11 people in a SSAS. With any other pension, you only have one person, and therefore you're kind of multiplying your admin costs. With the SSAS, you've got one scheme. So let's imagine, you know, you've got, could be partners, could be family, 2, 3, 4 members. Each person gets that 40,000 allowance. So if they're a genuine director or an employee of that business, directors usually are, you know, it's very easy for directors to pay large contributions in. You know, you could be doing 2, 3, 4 times £40,000 each year. So if you've got a really profitable business and you're paying a lot of corporation tax, this could be a game changer for you, actually, because then you can use that money in a number of different ways, buying commercial premises, you know, loaning to your business, doing other things with that money. So you're minimizing the tax and maximizing the growth on the money, which of course in the end will be a legacy for your loved ones if you do a good job with it.
I was just going to say that, really, and this is where this whole financial legacy piece really ties in, doesn't it? Because the pension doesn't die when you die. It passes on to the next generation and the next and the next, and hopefully with the wisdom and the lessons to continue to maintain and grow that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's basically just a perpetual legacy that rolls on, as you say, down the generations. And the great thing about it actually is look, you know, when you're leaving a legacy, sadly, someone's no longer here, right? But what you've left them in a SSAS is a vehicle that actually gives them immediate access to the money because it's not your pension. You've inherited it, but it's a death benefit. So the rules don't say you have to be 55 or 57 or whatever the new minimum pension age in the UK will be in years to come. If you've passed away and your loved ones need access to that money, they can have access to that money without having to draw it all out. They can leave it in the SSAS and just tap into what they need. It might be a small lump sum. It could be drip feed of income, any combination of those things. But if the lion's share of the wealth is still accumulated in the SSAS, it's still wrapped up in that friendly tax wrapper that will continue to pass on down the generations as long as it's managed properly. And they've got that flexibility and choice to tap into that income if they need to.
One of the other taxes we've not mentioned is the inheritance tax, which again, it's free from inheritance.
It absolutely is. And that's because a SSAS is based on a trust deed, and trusts are exempt from inheritance tax because they're ring fenced outside of your estate. So your will, if you have one, and if not, then some government statutory laws called the laws of intestacy will take care of who gets what from your estate, but it's all subject to potential inheritance tax. If you've got a SSAS, it's ring fenced because trusts don't form part of that calculation. They're exempt from that calculation. So, again, you're maximising the legacy you pass on by minimising the tax impact.
Well, that's been quite an insightful session, Paul. I hope we've definitely triggered a few light bulb aha moments there for our listeners. And, we love helping people with SSAS and do that every day. So as I said at the beginning, what I'll do, actually, I'll put a link in the show notes for today to some videos, to some resources. We do a webinar as well every couple of months, don't we? So we'll be doing next SSAS webinar in April. If anyone wants to jump on, I believe probably you and Kev will be there talking through, obviously sharing everything on screen as well, answering questions. But that's been great, Paul. Thank you.
My pleasure. Enjoyed it as always. Just love chatting about the impact SSAS can have, and it's definitely that best kept business owner secret. We're trying as hard as we can to spread the word about it, amongst lots of other good things too, of course. But it just never ceases to amaze me just how impactful having a SSAS can be. Yeah.
And if you're listening now and you just want to jump on and have a chat, then do reach out to us. Drop an email to hello@wealthbuilders.co.uk and our team will be straight back to you and we can set up a call. Paul, look forward to having you back on again soon.
Yeah. Let's try not to leave it quite so long next time. I always love it. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next session. That's for sure.
All right. Thanks for listening today. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the share button. Send it to somebody who you think might find this of use. And I'll be back next week. See you then. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget that we are constantly updating our resources inside the Wealth Builders membership site to help you create, build and protect your wealth. Head over to wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership right now for free access. That's wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership.